First off, I want to start with a moment of silence for all the victims, family, and friends of the 9/11 tragedy. Hey guys, it's Chanel. So I just wanted to share my 9/11 experience with you guys, being that I am a New York native. I was born and raised in New York, lived in 3 of the 5 boroughs, so New York is very dear to me. I still live in New York, and it was just so surreal what happened. So on Tuesday, September 11, 2001, I was a sophomore in high school. I was actually in my social studies class. Like, I can still remember like probably about 95% of the details till this day. It felt like yesterday. It was just such a surreal experience. So anyway, I was in my social studies class, just a regular day, getting out with social studies lessons. And one of the teachers comes in and tells my social studies teacher, oh, one of the towers got hit, a plane just crashed into one of the towers. So we all heard the news, of course, because the teacher did this in front of us students. So we're thinking it was just an accident, maybe it was just like a small plane or a jet or something that just kind of crashed around the top of the tower. We're just thinking like it's just, an accident, hopefully, everything's okay. So then we just move on with the social studies lesson. So then I move on to my next period class, which was a math class. And I remember as the math teacher is teaching a lesson, just one by one, students started to leave because their parents came to pick them up. So somebody would come to the door and say, oh, Mark, your father is here. Sarah, your mother's here. John, your grandma's here. So we're kind of thinking like, what is going on? It's just kind of strange. One by one, everybody's leaving. And then eventually someone came to the door and said, Chanel, your mother's here. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what the hell is going on. And I wasn't putting like 2 and 2 together with the crash in towers and everyone getting picked up at the time, because we didn't really know what was going on. Then I went to the office where my mom picked me up, and one of my brothers was there, because I have 2 younger brothers. So one of my brothers was there, and we get into the car, and then my mom tells me, oh, there's been a terrorist attack. Both of the twin towers are gone. They got struck by airplanes or jets or what have you. And she told me it was Osama bin Laden. That was the first time I've heard of that name. She said, oh, Osama bin Laden attacked us. And I just remember, like, I just screamed, is he crazy? And this was a rhetorical question because, of course, if you're killing innocent people, that's crazy, But I just remember screaming, I was like, is he crazy? And I was just like, oh my God. So I couldn't wait to get home to see what was going on, because at the time I was living on Staten Island, and in my old Staten Island neighborhood where I lived, it was kind of elevated. So if you kind of walk up my block, you can actually see some of Manhattan from there, because the Twin Towers, they were huge. Well, they were tall, I should say. They were super tall. So I was able to see the Twin Towers from my neighborhood. So then I remember when we pulled up to the neighborhood, I got out the car, I kind of walked up the block to see what was going on. All I saw was just a whole bunch of dust. It was just a bunch of dust and smoke, no towers. It was just such a surreal experience, because I'm used to seeing the towers every day from my neighborhood, and just to see that it didn't hit me like we were attacked, like New York was attacked, or Americans were attacked. It still didn't hit me. I'm just looking at it. It was just so surreal, just seeing the towers gone and all this dust and smoke and everything. So then we went into the house, and I remember there was no cell phone service. There was there wasn't TV. You couldn't really watch TV. Most of the stations were down. The only thing we could watch was cable TV. Only the cable was working. That was it. So then I remember we watched cable, and pretty much most of the channels, they were reporting on the tragedy. So I remember just watching on the news, just seeing the towers, it was just over and over. They kept playing it, seeing the towers seeing the jets going into the towers, seeing the towers come down, seeing all the people running, seeing some people that actually jumped out of the buildings because they figured, hey, I'm gonna die anyway, so I might as well just jump out of the towers. It was just seeing, God, I know it's been like 15 years now, but it felt like yesterday. And those images, they're just like embedded in my brain. But yeah, it was, I think what really like hit me the most was seeing the people jumping out of the towers and just jumping to their death because they figure they're not going to be saved, they're not going to live anyway. So it's man. So my father, he wasn't home at the time. My father, he's a police officer, and I think he was working in Brooklyn, either Brooklyn or Manhattan. I want to say Brooklyn at the time. So I don't remember him actually coming home until the next day, because I know like pretty much all of the like firefighters and police officers, they had to go out and help and everything. But I'm not sure if he had to go out to Manhattan to help. But I do remember him not coming. I could be mistaken, but I don't remember seeing him the day that it happened. I remember seeing him like the day after, but thank God he was okay. And I actually had a neighbor who I believe he either worked in the towers or he worked right next to the towers. And by the grace of God, he actually was sick that day, so he called out sick. So he was just home safe, thank God. Like I don't know anybody that that died in the towers, but it's just, I feel for all the people, all the victims and their families and their friends. Like I still feel for them till this day. Like this is something I will never ever ever forget. So then to speak about the aftermath a bit. So mind you, I said I was living on Staten Island at the time. So Staten Island does have like a lot of racist and anti-Semitic areas, which is unfortunate because you think, it's New York City, we're have like every culture here and everything, but there's still that type of stuff that goes on, especially on Staten Island. So I remember after that happened, the like racial tension and anti-Semitism, it died down, and it was just black people, white people, Asian, just everybody just reuniting as one. Not reuniting, uniting as one. Just uniting as one people, uniting as Americans, because this is such a, this is horrific. This is such a tragedy, on New York and as Americans. So I remember everyone uniting. All of a sudden everybody is showing off the American flag. Like people were hanging the flags from like their houses, from their cars, in the classrooms, on their buildings and everything. So that was nice to see, everybody just uniting as human race, uniting as Americans. But the thing is that it shouldn't take a tragedy for us to do that. We should all be united as one, as Americans or as a human race. We should all be united. It shouldn't take a tragedy to do that, But it was nice to see everyone united. But of course, unfortunately, people who look like Osama, they were discriminated against and stereotyped everything, which was unfortunate. And I remember for a while, I actually didn't go to Manhattan to like hang out or shop or whatever, because Manhattan is like my favorite place to hang out in New York City. So I remember for like months, I did not go to, as much as I love Manhattan, I did not go to Manhattan for a while to go hang out. But especially there was like a lot of reconstruction, everything that had to go on, like the buildings and subways and everything. So yeah, but eventually like around 2002, like I became more comfortable and started traveling to Manhattan more. So that was my 9/11 story. If any of you guys have a story, leave your stories below, or you can message me or anything, or hit me up on social media. Just once again, my heart goes out to all the victims, the families and friends of the 9/11 tragedy. This will definitely be something that I will never ever forget. Till next time, guys, peace.